Hey! How you guys doing? It's Henry at Mowers and Blowers. Gorgeous day today. Nice cool wind. I just woke up. I don't know how hot or how cold it is, but it feels like 55. I bet you I'm right on it. Anyway, welcome to episode 4 of my Scots by Murray. It's really episode 3 because the first one was just a video of me getting it. You know what I mean? Yesterday, I had this baby running, driving, and everything. However, Murphy's Law, right? Something's always going to go wrong when you least expect it. I fried the entire electrical harness on this thing. It's a miracle the whole thing didn't blow up, you know what I mean, and catch on fire, which would really suck because this engine sounds great. I had a bunch of subscribers, like my buddy 5-Speed Ash, who told me, you know why it fried was because you had some kind of, maybe not a short, but an oversurge of power. Like, for instance, the starter, the ring gear got hung up on the flywheel while I'm trying to spin it. With the engine being hydrolocked from gas, puts strain on that wire and it heats up big time, you know what I mean? Sometimes when that happens, the reason why you have the wiring harness with a circuit breaker or a inline fuse, if you will, it pops the fuse so that that doesn't happen and you don't fry your entire harness. But why did it fry? That's right, because I jumped the fuse! You live, you learn. What are you gonna do? You know, I was lucky that I was working on this thing, right? And so my tool trailer was right next to me, and I had some side cutters, right? And so I just thought really quick, electrical source to stop this electrical fire or melting of all the wires and preventing it from becoming a fire in the wiring harness. I gotta cut the electrical source, and of course there was a split second where I said, oh, but I just put those together. I should have cut it right where I put it together, but I didn't. I cut it too close to the loop, you know. So that's going to be more of a pain in the butt for me to reattach. But I'm not going to reattach it until I get all the wiring fixed up, because if I touch it again, the whole thing will blow up. But I'm lucky that it didn't turn into a fire and I didn't lose the engine, because the engine sounds great. So I ordered a carburetor, a Kohler carburetor. I looked at the schematics to this, and the exact carburetor was expensive. I mean, I saw the OEM ones were like $120, $112, right? And I looked at some copied ones, and they were still like 20, 22, 25 bucks. So, and not only that, the picture didn't look like the one that I had, So I looked at some Kohler Courage ones, and those look more like this one, the one that I have on here, The plastic tab for the choke butterfly was flat. The ones that I saw was like a blob of black plastic with a hole. I mean, I think it's the same thing, but I'd feel better if it was exactly the same one, And I found one for $15, So I got that one. It's for a Kohler Courage. I'm pretty sure it'll fit. And if not, maybe I'll just take the needle out, So, the problem with this carburetor, and this is the second one. The first one, the needle was just leaking badly through the bowl and the gaskets and everything, right? This one doesn't leak through the bowl nut or the bowl, but rather it's a silent one. It leaks into the intake manifold, into the crankcase, out the muffler. So I didn't know it was leaking, right? If I knew it was leaking, I would have shut off the fuel shutoff, But because it was leaking into the crankcase, it probably filled into the piston. And when the engine tried to start, it wouldn't move, and the starter was getting hot. The wire heated up too much, was touching too much of that spaghetti. And then once you melt those two, something crisscrosses it and short-circuited, and everything was going nuts, The white smoke coming from your electrical spaghetti was scary. You never want that to happen, Whoa. So today, and I know I mean, it took me so long to put these panels together. You know, I hate the hoods for this, for the MTDs, the Troy Builds, Cub Cadets. They all have these panels to put the hood together. Why can't they just make like a John Deere or a Craftsman hood where you just pivot it and lift it up and there you go, the whole hood's off. It's so easy. Why do they do that, you know? But I have a feeling if I'm gonna redo the entire wiring of this thing, I might have to take this whole thing apart just to get the wiring out and reconnect. I'm gonna take some time to look in my bin of spaghetti to find a couple of wiring harnesses that would fit an ignition switch, that would fit a key, you know. And all I basically need are 4 wires to rewire this. Positive 12 volts from the battery. Negative ground, that's a good ground attached right to the frame. Your solenoid S-tab wire and your M magneto ignition coil wire straight to the magneto kill. The switch would normally have an L tab too for lights, so I might connect that wire straight to the lights, you know, and we'll see what happens from there. So in the meantime, I'm going to do the fuel shutoff to make sure no other fuel goes into the, it is already, but I have a feeling that my crankcase is filled with gas. So I'd have to look at the levels of my oil, and eventually maybe I might have to do an oil change on this because it might have fuel contamination in it. So that's what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go look and see if I can, you know, come up with a wiring harness on my own with an ignition switch. I'm not sure if this ignition switch works, whether or not it's damaged or not or melted. But I remember that it was difficult to get it out because the ignition switch is actually installed sideways. Not sideways, but at a diagonal angle. So it was difficult to get your finger in to push the tabs to pop it out because it has like a steel frame around it, you know, so it doesn't allow you to put your fingers in there, you know. Kind of a bad design, if you ask me. But we'll see what happens when I get that wiring harness first. In the meantime, another good day of eBay sales. Every day I've got packages for my friend, Quinn the Mailman. MTD Power No More, Zongshen engine, flywheel, and blower fan. You ready? $65. So I charged the guy $18 to ship. It'll cost me $13 to ship. So $5 will cover eBay PayPal fees. So I'm netting about $43, $44 for that flywheel that Nick from Medford gave me for free. Loose ends of lawnmower parts. I'm selling lawnmower parts like crazy. Just to give you a rough idea, if you know about eBay, they give you a 90-day summary of your total sales. Now those total sales include your shipping as well. So you have to minus what you paid for shipping too. So I'm just going to tell you, the past 3 months, I've sold over $3,000 in lawnmower parts on eBay. I probably spent about $800 or $1,000 in the shipping. I mean, the shipping is usually like 25%, believe it or not, it is. And then there's eBay fees, PayPal fees, tax, and all that. So probably in my pocket about $2,000 in the past 3 months. So if you calculate that, it's about $600 a month. 3 times 6 is 18. Yeah, $600 or $700 a month in just lawnmower part sales. You know, that would otherwise have gone to the street. Well, the street is where I pick it up. You know. So just a lesson to you fellas, if you guys want extra income, you can do what I do and not have to leave your house. I mean, I don't have to leave my house to do this. I mean, it is a lot of work, taking pictures, descriptions, setting up your accounts, your PayPal linkage, getting packing material, supplies, electronic scale, you know, digital scale, packing tape, packing material, printer, paper, toner, you know, all that stuff are expenses. But once you have that all established, you can have your own lawnmower eBay store. If you have time, and there's a lot of time now during coronavirus, right? You can start your eBay store. Get off your couch and go make some damn money, okay? So as you can see, I've got a big bin of spaghetti. This is my bin full of wiring harnesses. I've collected these over the years. So I found a couple of harnesses that look like it'll fit. I used this solder and seal wire connector kit that I got from subscriber Sam, who sent it to me. You know, these things work great. All you have to do is connect a dual temperature heat gun, right? And you just slip these through, slide it in there, and that center part of it, right, has a little solder ring. And with the right temperature, the solder just melts right into the two wire connectors right there. So listen, it wasn't too bad. I'll show you the evidence, okay? So the evidence is this. The only two fried, melted wires were the positive and the negative. The red and the black, just fried, you know what I mean? The ignition switch module was good. It wasn't melted. Ignition switch seems good. And basically I just replaced these two wires, the positive and the negative, made some new connectors with the loops, put them back on to the solenoid base for the negative, and the positive wire onto the positive terminal. In addition, I had some other connectors too, like for instance I traced this black wire, and this goes to the stator. I believe it goes to the stator, but I'm not going to connect it yet. But I have a little spade tab here. The spade tab here attaches to, there's a positive wire with a attachment to this. So if this doesn't fry and it starts the engine or cranks the engine, right, I'll attach this on there later when it's running to make sure that it's the stator wire. To be extra cautious, I have a 30 amp fuse, inline fuse that I put in here onto the 12 volt positive terminal. So I've got a fuse this time, so if anything goes wrong, it'll pop the fuse. 30 amps. Also at the battery connection where I cut it to stop any more carnage, right? I reattached it with the connectors as well. I took the spark plug out because I want to crank all the gas out of the crankcase. So I have it hooked up here where it's ready to crank. So I have the camera pointed right at the spark plug hole. Took the spark plug out, I put a rag over there to catch all the gas is what I'm thinking is going to come out. So first of all, let's see if it cranks and see if stuff comes out. I got nothing. That's weird. Got nothing at all. And I connected the battery already. So I had a loose connection on the solenoid, but then I put the fuse in, 30 amp fuse, and it blew. So there's a short somewhere. I don't know where it is. It might be the ignition switch is fried, you know, and it's causing a short. But you know what I'm going to do? The battery is connected. I'm going to jump the solenoid. I'm just going to put a wrench to the thing and see if it turns. Okay, so it cranks. I'll have to figure out the short. Okay, fellas. I think I got it going on. I changed a switch, a different switch. It's the same type of switch, but it's just an older switch. The switch was shorting out. So I changed the switch, and it all starts fine, and it shuts off fine. Gotta jiggle a little bit, so I might get a new switch. It's old, you know. There's some play in the switch. So, you know, you gotta kind of jiggle it to get it to start, and then to turn it off, you kind of jiggle it to get it to get that circuit, you know. The key is really loose. See what I'm saying? But you know what? That happens with a plastic switch, you know, over the years, turning it on and off, on and off, on and off. Plastic is gonna, you know, plastic is soft. It'll, you know, give. So I'm gonna probably order another switch if it's cheap enough. You know what I'm saying? It's only $10, whatever. Carburetor is on its way. I hope it fits. It's the one for a Kohler Courage. The wiring spaghetti has been decreased by 1/4, or sorry, 75%. There's no safety switches whatsoever. And I put the panels back on. Sure is kind of dirty though. And then I was running it for a while, tuning it up, you know. And while I was running, see, look at all that rust that came out. I'm not sure exactly where that's from. If it's not from the muffler, because if it was from the muffler, it would come out here. No? Maybe that is from the muffler, inside the muffler. Anyway, I'm going to take it for a ride. Take it for a ride, and if all goes well, I'll park it in the backyard and maybe give it a little bit of a power wash just to get this crap off, and I'll be able to take pictures of it. Another hauler. What am I going to do with another hauler? Good engine. These Kohler Commands are good engines. Hey, I've never had to take one apart and rebuild it. I've had quite a bit too. Every one I had works. Never seen a blown one before. Yep, that was Boba. Ooh, bake sale. Who uses CDs anymore? Ooh, baseball gear. Wow. Turn that down.
Yeah, now it's not very fast.
you gotta jiggle it. Well, that looks much nicer, doesn't it? Well, things always look nicer when they're wet and slippery. So that's it. I parked this in the backyard after I power washed it. I put the fuel shut off, let the gas burn up in the carburetor, and it just stalled. I'm just going to leave it here until I get my ignition switch and my carburetor. I don't know, I already spent $15 on the carburetor. Should I spend another $10 or $15 on a switch? That means $30. I mean, how much could I get this for? You know what I mean? Get for this. $250? Is it worth it? I guess it was free, even though the engine's worth about $200 or so, you know, maybe $150. Yeah, I guess I'll do that. So I'll get a switch, get a new carburetor. This is a hydrostatic. It runs pretty good. It was fun to drive. It's not very fast, not as fast as the YARDMACHINES hauler. But anyway, thanks a lot for joining me for this series of episodes. It took about 4 or 5 episodes to get this the way I need it. I still got to put the carburetor and the ignition switch in, but the wiring, getting the engine to run, blew the rat's nest out. The keys back into the keyways so that this thing would roll. But it's good transmission. Well, actually, that's a new battery too. Could I end up spending like $55 on this thing to get $250? That might not be worth it. And it'll sit here for a while. I took some pictures. I'll list it. I'll list it for like $375. Nobody's gonna buy it. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.